Have you figured out who your legal North Star is? Hi, and welcome to the Law Simplified, the world's largest independent online law school platform. I'm your instructor, Shaveen Bandadnaika. Most of you would have been told when you're young to read, and read some more. Usually, the justification for this is one of two main reasons. Either it's so that you can become more knowledgeable, more adept in terms of the subject matter that they're providing for you in schools or in campuses, or on the other hand, it might be so that you are able to traverse parts of the world in your mind's eye that you would otherwise not be able to. What if I told you there is a third reason why you should read and do so constantly? If you like the type of content that I make on this YouTube channel, do subscribe to The Law Simplified and leave a comment below of what other types of content in terms of academics as well as professional careers in law that you'd like to see. I would highly recommend having a look at the comprehensive online law school platform, complete with theory, tutorial, and workshop lessons based on the actual one-on-ones that I've conducted with first-class law students globally. So, what is this third reason for reading and doing so consistently? It's to try and identify a temperament that suits you both academically and professionally. What do I mean by this? At the beginning of this video, I asked you a question. Have you figured out who your legal North Star is? What this actually means is whether you've determined who your academic mentor or idol really is. In terms of sports, marketing, business, or entrepreneurship, most of those who are going into those professions would have someone that they look up to, that they try to emulate and mimic, at least from a career perspective. They'd find anything and everything that they've written about, that they've spoken, speeches or lectures that they've given, just any appearance that they can get their hands on, so that they are able to articulate the way that they do, or to try and emulate the paths that they've taken. Now, from an academic perspective, and especially when it comes to law, it might be difficult to establish for yourself someone that you can look up to in terms of, let's say, an author, or a jurist, or a judge. But what I would try to impress upon you with this video, and to some extent indirectly through other videos on this platform, is that your legal personality is going to be enriched by the temperament of the person that you would ultimately look up to. For example, when we study law, in terms of our academics at least, there are certain names that pop out in relation to different types of subjects. You would have heard of McKendrick or Tritel in terms of contract law, Elliott and Quinn in terms of tort, Barnett in terms of constitutional or administrative law, Dixon in terms of property law, and these are more contemporary names. Similarly, what I would argue is that when it comes to examinations, assignments, and just overall articulation and understanding, something that you ought to read that most students tend to skimp on are judgments. Not just the precedent case itself, but dissents, as well as articles and any other material that judges have produced. It might be journal entries, it might even be books. The reason for this is so that you can try and hone your temperament in law, to look at things as objectively and from a reasonable perspective as possible. Now, granted, no matter how reasonable or objective a judge may need to be and may consider himself or herself to be, they do fall into one of three camps, either liberal, conservative, or in some occasions centrist. And certain judgments and certain judges may be more temperamentally relative to you. For example, I personally find Lord Denning's judgments quite insightful specifically in relation to the presentation that he opts for. Temperamentally, he prefers a very pragmatic style of communication in relation to the judgments that he has in fact written in a number of different subject areas. This is my personal preference and opinion, and temperamentally I have drawn from that even in my teaching style. For you, having read other judgments, you might find another judge, a jurist, or an academic more akin to your own temperament, something that you can relate to. But the bottom line here, and the purpose of this video, is to try and impress upon you the importance of having that North Star, either juristically, academically, or professionally for that matter. But moving on from an academic perspective first and professional one afterwards, it's always good to try and hone your own technique by trying not to emulate or mimic, but be inspired by other temperamentally savvy, objective, as well as clear, concise, and precise North Stars of that caliber. Until the next time that we speak, have fun, stay safe, and as always, obey the law.